Welcome to day 1 of the 30 Days of Horror, where I break down my favorite horror movies throughout the month of October. And today, we're going to be starting off with one of my favorites, The Babadook. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-filled overview of the movie, so if you haven't seen The Babadook, I would highly recommend checking it out before coming back to this. I will put a link to the movie in the description. Now, the movie is directed by Jennifer Kent, and the story follows a mom and her son dealing with the grief of her husband. That is until things take a grim twist with the introduction of a strange figure by the name of Mr. Babadook. One night, when they find a mysterious book by the same name, they end up reading it out loud, and after that, things are just never the same. The Babadook ends up tormenting the mom and her son in so many different ways and just wreaks havoc on their lives. Now, that's the general premise of the movie, but there's a lot more to the film than meets the eye, which I'll get to very soon. One of the things I love so much about The Babadook is the subtlety. There is something about the movie that's so unnerving without even trying. Everything that happens, it's a slow burn. This is not a slasher type movie. This is not something that is just going to be in your face a lot of the time. It's very subtle. Everything that happens to the family is very emotional. It's very distressing. It's hard to watch as this mom and her son are just tormented. And it's psychologically more so than anything. It's very much emotional. And there's a big reason for that, and that's by design. The Babadook is not supposed to be something that's going to kill them, but rather something that is there to inflict pain on them in different ways. She's eating one day in the breakfast and she finds glass in her food. She's driving and she sees the Babadook. The Babadook isn't everywhere she looks. She has sleepless nights. You see the emotional toll that it has on her and her son. Her son also starts acting up. And all of this is representative of the true fear of the Babadook. And the thing about the Babadook is that besides the book that they show, which you know what he looks like, he doesn't really show up at all. You don't really see him. You see glimpses of stuff that might be him, but you never really see him until the very end. And even so, you barely even get a good look at him, and there's a reason for that, because you can't really put a quantifiable look on what he's supposed to represent. Now, what's cool about that is I actually used stop motion animation as well to sort of add to it and have a subtle way of showing more creepiness by doing it that way. So, what does the Babadook represent? This is the main thing, and one of the reasons why I love this movie so much as a horror movie, but as a thriller as well. And that is because the Babadook represents grief. Everything about it and everything it does to the mom and son are all reliant on grief, and you can make so many parallels. What I was talking about earlier, where she finds glass in the food, it's hard for her to eat. All these are symptoms of grief. She finds it hard to even do the most simplest things, which is to eat her food for breakfast. Her son is acting out. She's seeing it everywhere. She can't escape it. Grief is everywhere. It consumes her life. It consumes her son's life, and she can't escape it. She's watching TV, and she can't even do that. She can't do anything. It's because it's this torturing pain and thought of losing somebody, and that's what the movie plays on. That's what the Babadook represents. And at the very end of the movie, she has this cathartic battle against the Babadook, that she's confronting this insanely massive thought of grief, this pain. She's confronting it head on in this huge, crazy, intense, emotional scene at the very end. And she's able to eventually come to terms with it more so. And that's what the very end of the movie is all about. To explain it, she is happier. At the end of the movie, she's almost more at peace with it, you could tell. And she has a nice moment with her son before she goes downstairs to the basement and she feeds the Babadook. She's keeping the Babadook as a sort of pet in a way, but that's not really how it should be viewed. It should be viewed more so that she can never get rid of it, that the grief is always going to be there. It's always, even if you put it in the basement, doesn't matter where you put it, it's going to be there. But the difference is that she's come to terms with it. She's tamed this huge, painful idea of grief, so much so that she feeds it, she keeps it there, but she doesn't pay mind to it. It's not tormenting her life anymore, but it's always going to be there in the back of her mind no matter what. And that's what the end of the moral of the story is. And it's just genius. And I think that there's so many parallels and little things you can do. And I love when movies take a simple idea of symbolism and they tell it throughout the movie without being obvious about it. This may have been really obvious for people who saw it at the beginning, but for me, I didn't look at it like that until reading more about it later or reading what the director had to say about it. And it really all comes full circle. It really comes into the forefront, this really creative idea of showing grief and what it does to the mind, what it does to families, what it does to your daily life and everything. So it's absolutely a genius way to do that. And on top of that, I think the performances are absolutely amazing. I think the actress who plays the main character of Amelia, S.C. Davis, I think she's phenomenal. Phenomenal actress, and the son also does a really good job too. Noah Wiseman as the son, Sam. Now, put under the hands of anybody else, this could have been a really cheesy or not as effective movie, but again, it's the subtlety and the simplicity of this movie that really sets it apart from a lot of modern day horror movies. So this one definitely stands as one of my favorites. If you've seen The Babadook, let me know below what you thought about it, and please make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like this series, I'm going to be trying to cover all 30 days of October. And I know what you're thinking. You're saying there's 31 days in October. Well, the 31st day is going to be something special, so stay tuned for that. But thank you very much for watching, and stay spooky out there.